Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. 3 Chicago Med characters who might return for Season 10 final, and 2 who won't. Chicago Med is gearing up for its Season 10 final. There are lots of story threads to wrap up with the current roster of characters, but showrunner Alan McDonald knew what he was doing when he told TV Line that we will be seeing the return of a former Med star. McDonald confirmed that some unexpected faces will be in the mix for the final. The final minutes of the hour will have some big shocks with lasting ripple effects, he explained. It's going to be a very long summer for Chicago Med fans. Since we have such an enticing lead to go on, we figured we'd go through the list of characters who are still alive and determine how likely their return would be. Dr. Ethan Choi, Brian T., had one of the most exuberant exits in Chicago Med history. The character rebounded from his physical and psychological struggles to not only reconcile with and marry April Sexton, Yaya DaCosta, but launch his own medical practice in Season 8. Choi is a likely candidate to return for the Season 10 final because he still practices medicine in the Windy City and could be brought it to help out his former co-workers. Plus, Brian T. has directed a few Med episodes since leaving the cast, proving he's still friendly with the production. April also benefited from the storybook ending that we alluded to above. The thing is, Yaya DaCosta doesn't want to disrupt this ending by returning to Chicago Med. The actress recently spoke about it during an interview, and she confirmed that she has no plans to return to the medical drama anytime soon. "I don't foresee her returning to the show," DaCosta noted to TV Insider. "I really loved that ending. I think it did feel like an ending." She said that she was appreciative of this addition to April's story because of how much she disliked her character's initial exit. "I think when I left the first time, there wasn't any effort put into nicely tying up the storyline," DaCosta said. "It was a great opportunity for me to come back for a few episodes, get married to him, and go off into the sunset on our mission." Remember Vanessa Taylor, Asha Cooper? She brought a youthful energy to Gaffney Medical Center before a sudden and very unexpected departure in Season 7. She decided to go to the Philippines to work at a health foundation. She went as far as to refer to the foundation as her calling, much to the surprise of her mother, Maggie Marline Barrett. A lot has transpired for Maggie in the seasons since, however, and it would be an interesting period in her life for Vanessa Taylor to resurface. The character still works in the medical field, and unlike many of her former Gaffney peers, she has not suffered a trauma or life-altering tragedy. Natalie Manning, Tori DeVito, officially left Chicago Med in Season 6, but she returned to help transition Dr. Nick Halstead, Nick Gelfus, off the show in Season 8. They now live together with Manning's son in Seattle. Another storybook ending and another instance of an actress not really wanting to mess with it. "I did not feel like Natalie and Will got the ending that they deserved at all," DeVito told NBC. "It was her desire to see the 2 characters end up together that brought her back, but now she feels like she is content with Dr. Manning's legacy. It was such a great experience, but there was nothing in my head that was like, oh, I hope to come back," she concluded. Crockett Marcel, Dominic Raines, is a prime example of a character who suffered a tragedy on the job and who left Gaffney Medical Center as a result. We completely understand his reason for leaving in Season 9, but given how recent his departure was and how open-ended the storyline remains, the notion of Marcel returning to Gaffney may not be as far-fetched as you might initially think. It would be nice to see Dr. Marcel again if, for nothing else, a chance to see him go out on a more hopeful, or perhaps even redemptive note. We will find out whether any of these characters return when the Chicago Med Season 10 finale airs on May 21. As Chicago Med powers through its 10th season, fans are already speculating what kind of surprises the finale could bring. And if one Chicago history has taught us anything, it's that the show knows how to deliver emotion-packed returns and bittersweet goodbyes. So, who might be walking through the doors of Gaffney Chicago Medical Center one more time? And which familiar faces are more likely to stay away? Let's dive into 3 characters who just might make a comeback, and 2 who probably won't. 1. Dr. Connor Rhodes. A triumphant return. There's no name fans mention more often than Dr. Connor Rhodes, Colin Donnell, when discussing dream returns. the talented cardiothoracic surgeon, left in Season 5 following the death of Ava Becker and a web of betrayal, trauma, and heartbreak. But the door was never fully closed. In universe, Rhodes left Chicago to work at the Mayo Clinic, and there's been no mention of his demise or anything too final, with the Season 10 finale shaping up to be a possible full-circle moment for Chicago Med. A surprise return from Connor would electrify longtime viewers. Picture it, Will Halstead is in crisis. Sharon Goodwin is under pressure from hospital board politics. A patient rolls in with an impossible cardiovascular case, one that only Connor could crack. He appears in the final act, calm and composed, tossing his coat over one shoulder with that signature half-smirk. Not only would his return serve the drama, but it would satisfy years of fan speculation. If Chicago Med wants to go big, this is how you do it. 2. Dr. Ethan Choi. The Heart of Med may revisit. Ethan Choi, Brian T., left Chicago Med in Season 8 to pursue a quieter life focused on preventative medicine and personal healing. His farewell was understated, heartfelt, and full of hope. He married April Sexton and took a step away from the chaos of the ER. Still, it's hard to imagine that he'd be gone for good, especially in a milestone final. Ethan was never a character to seek the spotlight, but he was the soul of the emergency department for years. A return, possibly as a temporary consultant or in support of a crisis affecting a former colleague, would feel earned and emotional. It's easy to envision him walking in during a code black situation, sleeves rolled up, April by his side. Maybe he's needed not just as a doctor, but as a leader to help steady the team when everything's falling apart. If the Season 10 finale aims for poignancy, a quiet Choi appearance could deliver it in spades. 3. Nurse April Sexton. A welcome surprise. Where Choi goes, could April Sexton, Yaya DaCosta, be far behind? April's return in Season 8 during Choi's final arc reminded fans how much they missed her grounded presence. Her story was rich with emotional depth, tackling real-life struggles in nursing, family, and romantic relationships. Though her character left for nurse practitioner school and a future with Choi, she was never written off in a way that felt truly final. A joint return with Choi in the finale would be perfection. Or perhaps she comes back alone, now a trained nurse practitioner, leading a new initiative that links community care with Gaffney Medical. April's deep ties to Chicago and her relationships with Maggie, Crockett, and others would make her re-entry seamless and satisfying. Plus, imagine her stepping into a mentoring role, perhaps for someone like Dr. Zola Ahmad or even Vanessa Taylor, bringing the story full circle. But not everyone will be back. For every surprising return, there are always those characters whose stories seem truly done. Let's look at 2 characters we probably won't be seeing in the Season 10 final. 1. Dr. Ava Becker. A definite goodbye. Let's be real. Ava Becker, Norma Cooling, isn't coming back, unless it's in a dream sequence or hallucination. Her death in Season 5 was final and traumatic, closing the chapter on one of the darkest storylines the show ever tackled. Ava's tangled relationship with Dr. Rhodes ended in a murder-suicide twist that shocked the fandom and effectively burned the bridge for any realistic return. Her character's descent into obsession, manipulation, and ultimately self-destruction made a big impact, but that ship has very much sailed. Even if Rhodes does return, there's no compelling reason to bring back Ava, except perhaps in a flashback montage or psychological moment. And honestly, the show has moved well beyond that chapter. 2. Dr. Natalie Manning. Likely a no-show. Natalie Manning, Tori DeVito, was a polarizing figure during her time on Chicago Med. After years of romantic drama with Will Halstead and a few ethically questionable decisions as a doctor, she exited the show in Season 7, following a scandal involving stolen trial meds.